do the same for like the dates or whatever. So as you can see, basically you can just see that you can do a lot of stuff with AWK and in such a short amount of time if you know how to use it, because it is a programming language, and if you know how to use it like a programming language, it opens up a lot of doors. The key thing to remember is that AWK runs line by line. Keep that in mind and you can actually do many things. Hey yo, what's up? It's Joe back with a video. Today I'm going to discuss AWK, AWK. If you have a Linux machine, you've probably heard of AWK. And there are a lot of different videos about AWK, but I decided to use AWK to basically parse this HTML file, which is Rotten Tomatoes, which is a site that I really love because I just love watching movies, TV shows, you name it, and I love coming on here to see what scores they get. So what we're going to do is actually use AWK to parse this and get like a nice table of information, and just to show you how easy it is to use AWK. Shouldn't be that long of a video, but let's just go ahead and get started. Alright, so first what we're going to do is actually use this. Well, let me just actually show you how it works. So right now I'm on TV shows. This is the URL, and if I click load more and keep clicking, etc., etc., see this page number starts changing. So what I can do is just put in like 100. Rotten Tomatoes is just gonna take that number and take it down to a smaller number, what it wants it to be, of how many pages you can actually get, which is fine for what we're doing. So what I'll do is actually take that URL, put it into curl, and I'm gonna just change this back to 100. So I'm getting this moved permanently, basically saying that, hey, this site is redirected to something else. Do you really want to go there, basically? So I'm just gonna add the -L flag for location, basically follow the location to where it goes. And I also want to just pipe this into less, just so we can see it easily. And there was some other stuff that came in that I do not want, which is this stuff here. So let's just go ahead and add the silent flag so we don't get all that extra stuff that I don't care about. All right, so this is actually what you see here, but this is just the HTML of this here. So what we want to do is start pulling out some information. So first, what we're going to do is actually put this into an AWK file. So I've already created an AWK file, so which is the file you kind of see behind me. But to put it into AWK, I'm going to pipe it into AWK, and my dog is making noise. Hey, stop. I'm going to put it into AWK, give it the F for the file flag, and then the name of the file is rotten_tomatoes.awk. If I do that, nothing should print because I don't have the actual file doing anything. So what I'm going to do is just say print. Now if I run this, I'm actually printing everything out to the screen. And the way AWK works is it actually goes line by line. Now to make this quicker, we'll first just search for this first show, which is The Last of Us, which I actually just saw, which is actually pretty good. So let's just do this, but let's also pipe this into less, and then let's give it a capital I flag so we can search with case insensitivity. So The Last of Us. All right, so there's something here that came up that says The Last of Us Season 1. I don't see that anywhere, so that must be something else. The Last of Us again, where is it? All right, I think we're here. So this is where I need to start. So you see The Last of Us right here, The Last of Us. And this is the audience score, which is 96. The critic score, which is 99. I'm assuming this is like the poster image right here. We don't care about that. And if I go down more, I see the title, The Last of Us, which is the title right here, and the date, which is right here. So first what we want to do is just start pulling out this information. And if you go more, we should see Velma pop up, hopefully. yeah, there's Verma, there's the date, and then we have 50 and 6, right? So now that we have that, let's start pulling stuff out. So with awk, you can use a regular expression to start pulling stuff out. So it's going to be called, let's say we're looking for audience score. So audience score, and we're just going to print. Actually, let me just do a different print. So right now, if I do this, I should get all of the audience score lines, because again, awk prints line by line. So it's just going to go in and pull out that 96, 99. Well, 96, I guess, is the audience score. And here we have some extra stuff, and it's probably because the audience score is here, but it doesn't. This one starts with blank space. So what we can do is just go ahead and say any audience score that starts with a blank space, any number of blank spaces. So now if we do this, we're getting just the audience scores. And if we go down, all we have is audience scores. Some audience doesn't even have a score. Well, some movies doesn't even have an audience score. So next, what I want to do is actually print this back. Again, this prints everything, and then this is just going to print the lines that it finds audience scores. And each one of these, awk is going to actually go through each line, each one of these commands for each line. So we actually end up seeing audience score twice when we run it again. So if I go to audience score, if I could spell, it would be so nice. So you see audience score is 96. It's twice because it sees audience score here. So it's going to print it, and it sees this print, which is prints for everything because there's no regular expression there. So we could probably do the same thing with critic score. We actually want to get the critic score as well. So now if we run this, we should see the critic score print twice as well. So now we have audience score, critic score. So we also want to get this title. So one thing I see that it has a discovery-media-list-item-title. So let's try to pull that out. Although this is not going to be the line that it's going to print, but let's just see if we can get to this line. I'll explain more what I mean. So what was it? Discovery media list item title. So discovery media list item title. And we're just going to print. This will all be formatted later. Right now, we're just trying to see can we get the data. That's the most important thing right now. Let's just not print every line and only print the regular expressions that we find. And let's see what we have here. So we have this first one with a replace inner text. Probably don't want that because all of the other ones don't have the replace inner text. And first, let's just get rid of that. So let's say discover media list item title, and let's put a double quote in that. So it will not end up getting this one, which there seems to be some junk data that we don't need. So I did save it. So let's print it again. So now we're starting with 96.99, and I'm assuming this is the first line or where it starts with the title. But just to be sure, let's just do this and print everything again. All right, so as it did, it printed it twice, which is what I expected. But what we really want to get is this line here, the Last of Us. So the key thing with awk is just to remember that it processes line by line. And because it processes line by line, you can do some really cool things like this. So here I'm saying print, right? But let's just say I wanted to create a variable called grep next and treat it as like a Boolean 0, 1, 0 means false and 1 means true. So with awk, when you create a variable like here, well, I'm setting a variable to 1, it automatically creates it for you. So I don't have to go in and say like whatever type of grep underscore next equals 0 or something like that, or and you know, like in JavaScript, you may have like let grep underscore next or something like that. You don't have to declare it basically. So now that I have that, I'm going to not print it here and do something like this. So you're going to say if grep next equals to 1, equal 1, then we're actually going to print. So now what is going to happen is we're going to get to this line. Pretend this 2 lines are not here because I was printing it before. So just pretend it's this, right? So AWK comes in, it's going line by line and gets to this line. It finds discovery media list item title. And when it gets here, it's going to say, okay, I'm going to set grab next equals 1. Okay, and then it gets to this line. It's going to go through all of these different things. It's not going to pass here, not going to pass here. It's going to get here like, oh, grab next equals 1. So then it's going to print. That's what should happen. So let's just actually take off everything and see if that actually worked. I just lost my train of thought. Alright, something isn't working right. Oh, yeah, this is the issue. So we had grab next equals 1, but in this case, it's always going to equal 1. So what we need to do is say grab next equals 0 to pretty much set it back to false so it doesn't keep printing every single line. Oh, didn't think about that. Alright, so we have audience score, critic score, we have The Last of Us, which is, the title. And we have audience score, critic score, we have the title. Audience score, critic score, we have the title. You see, we're getting somewhere. So with that being said, let's also try to do the same thing for the date. So now we're going to print everything again like we were doing before, just so we can kind of see where we're at. That's one good thing you can always do whenever you're trying to build an AWK file. Just go back and forth between printing the entire file. It kind of helps you visualize what you want to do. Alright, so this one is called Discovery Media List Item Start Date, and again it's going to be on a different line, so it needs to be that line. So what we can say is kind of just copy this logic. And then we have the start date, and now we're still telling it to set grab next equals 1, and then when it gets to here, it's going to check if it's equal to 1 and then print and then set it back to 0 so it doesn't keep printing. So now when I do this, because I'm not printing there all of the lines again, and just to let you know, AWK is way faster than you might feel like because it's kind of taking a while sometimes, but this is not AWK, this is just Rotten Tomatoes. The site sometimes takes a while. It has nothing to do with AWK, just to put it out there. So we have 96.99, The Last of Us, we have the date. And we have 650 Bama and the date. 650 Bama and the date. 71, 100% in the order. This one we didn't have a date. So sometimes we may have a date, sometimes we may not. But as you can see, we're getting all the information. Now this is pretty cool. But now that we're getting all the information, how can I format this? Because right at this point, we've actually pulled out all of the information that we want. But how am I going to format this? So what I can do is, first let's start off with, let's try to pull out the actual numbers and not this whole audience score equals and all that stuff. So what we can say is, let's just create a function. So you can create functions here. Before I do that. Create a function, just call it get score. And in this function, we're going to do probably a gen sub. And with a gen sub, you can actually kind of use the same formula, not formula, but the same kind of syntax you've probably seen when you said, if you used set before. I can use groups and use those in my replacements. Regular expression groups. So in this case, I'm going to say audience, because I'm so bad at spelling. Let's just copy it. So we have audience or critic score, either one of those, and then we have an equal. Double quote, number, double quote. So equals, double quote, and double quote. And then let's create another group inside of here that can be anything inside the double quotes. So with this case, I actually have 2 groups. So what I really want is from group 2, which is inside of here. And when you use gen sub, you have to use a double slash to get to the number. And I think the G is for global, I think. All right, so now that we have that, I also need to return this, and And here I can just say print get score, print get score. And I actually need to call the function. So here I'm just saying, now I'm not getting the full audience score, critic score, I'm actually just getting the numbers. Hopefully. I did something wrong here. And it's because I need to enclose this in double quotes. Alright, so we have 96, 99, 650. 71, 100. And what I don't like is all these extra spaces. So let's also maybe write a trim function to get rid of that. So to use this trim, I'm going to use something called gsub. And it's similar to gensub, but I'm not worried about the groups. And also, I think gsub does like inline replacement without having to like return or set a variable. So I can say gsub, and I want to, you know what? Because I think there's like carriage returns and all this other stuff in here for these spaces. So I want to get from the front and the back. So I'm just going to use these kind of space for both the front and the back. Oops. And I'm going to replace it with nothing. And we're going to say anything that starts with a space and has any number of those spaces. And here we're going to say anything that ends with a space as well. So this caret, I think it's called caret, means start spaces, and then this just goes to any number of spaces. And then here we're saying spaces, any number of them, and it has to be the end of the line, like ending with spaces. So now that I have that trim function, I can actually put that in here. So all of those scores will get trimmed, hopefully, if I did it right. Let's see. And again, it's not AWK, it's Rotten Tomatoes. 96, 99, so I got my numbers, right? So I also probably want to do the same thing for the dates and the titles. So what I can do is do that same trim function inside here. So now we're, getting more information, but again, it's not like formatted. It's like, what we're going to do, just keep looking at all this stuff. It's still hard to really visualize what's going on. But as you can see, we've got a lot accomplished in a short amount of time. And it's just giving a lot of information. Okay, so what I probably want to do next is maybe put all of these in variables. So I can get a variable and then write a function for print line that prints the line in the format that I want it. So to do that, I'm going to change some things. So let's just say A equals for audience, C equals. Remember with awk, you don't have to declare a variable, you just start using it and it's there. Here I can't really just say title equals or start date equals or whatever, because I don't even know which one it is, because they both are doing this whole grab next thing. But what I can do is say type equals T for title, and here let's say type equals D for date. And then when I get in here, I can do something like if type equals T, then set a new variable called T to $0, which is the full line of whatever line you're on. And here I can do the same thing. If it's equals to D, then set a new variable called D, which is equal to the full line. No longer going to print, because we don't want to print anything anymore, at least not right there, because we're going to write a print line that's going to actually do all of their work. And I still need to have grab next equals 0. And so right now at this point in time, I'm actually not printing anything. So if I run this, I should not get anything printed, which I didn't, which is perfect. All right, so now I need to probably write a function called print line. And this is actually going to print the line. I'll just use printf, and I'll just say %s pipe. This is not actually piping in anything. This is just formatting a line so I can have a separator basically when I'm printing. And then the first one I'll do is the title, and then I'll do the audience. I'll do maybe the audience score, then critic score. I'll do critic score first, then audience, and then the date. Again, right now I'm still not printing anything because I haven't actually called print line. But we need to see when do we call print line, because I can't have it printing the lines every time. So right now, the only thing that I'm printing is everything with this print, because at this point, this is setting up stuff, but it's not actually doing anything. So if I go here and I say audience score. All right, so I have the audience score, the critic score. I am still doing the trimming, so that's why it's over here, because it's trimming the spaces. But I need to figure out when this ends. So there's this tau dynamic, which it starts with there's a tau dynamic tag here, and then it closes down here. So maybe I can use this as like, okay, this is the end of the group of data that I want. Now I want to print all of that data, which will be printed into a line. So let's just look at that logic. There's a tau dynamic here, and I have like my audience score stuff, the titles and stuff. And then there's a tau dynamic here. So maybe if I use this as my ending, then let's see what that does. So let's do one more. Let's say if the regular expression finds, gotta escape that, tau dynamic. All right, did I do that right? Then we're gonna print. Actually, let me just do it here because I may end up having to print everything again. Just comment that out. So right now, print line. We're gonna call it a print line function. And this print line function should just come in and print whatever we have these variables set as. So now if I look here, all right, so we're getting somewhere. I don't know what all of this stuff is here. We got to look into that. And then all of this stuff is just printing on the same line, which just looks horrible. So what we can probably do is go here and add a new line. Let's start there. All right, so we have the new line, and then we get in all the information. I'm not going to worry about this because this is just HTML stuff. You can, if you want to take this and do something else with it, you can figure out how to do that. But this is just more just to show you like how easy it is to use awk. But I need to figure out what's going on here because we don't want that. So there seems to be a problem with the print line. So maybe this print line is finding this tau dynamic in other places outside of just where we're looking. So let's do this so we can see everything again. And let's search for a tau dynamic. So there's a lot of tau dynamics in the beginning because I don't even think we got to. Yeah, so there's definitely some tau dynamic stuff that's popping up that we don't need, but maybe if I go back to here, let's just see how it looked here again. All right, so that junk data or the junk print lines that it's doing, it only seems to happen in the beginning. And once it seems like it finds an actual real like movie or show or whatever, it doesn't happen again. So let me see. So my thought process, if that is the case, maybe we can say, so we can do this. So audience score. So when it finds its first audience score, which is here, we can say started equals 1, I think. And then for here, we only care about the tau dynamic if we've actually started the process. Oh, it may have just actually worked. So now, if you see here, we're actually just getting the data that we want. So let's kind of check this out. The Last of Us, Vama, that 9 show, I guess. This is kind of out of order, but maybe this is how it comes up. Oh, it's not even in the same order. Series, browse. Why is it not in the same order? That's extremely weird. Oh, maybe it's doing like a default sort that I don't know about. Maybe. Oh, did they change the order like just now? It wasn't like this before. All right. Yeah, so whatever. So the order, something looks weird here because there shouldn't be a date for the order, but I'm seeing the date as January 19th. So it seems like it's keeping the previous date. So that could be because, so here on every time we print a line, we have all this information. So each group, we come in, we get the information. So what I probably should do is say, once the line is printed, I'm done with that data, reset it. So that way, if it's not there the next time, no errors. I mean, not error, but it doesn't end up printing data that's not really supposed to be there. All right, so come on, Rotten Tomatoes, wake up, slow me down. Okay, so that looks good. You see the order, it doesn't have that. So, okay, so now I feel like everything is getting the data that it should get. And let's just probably make this look a little bit better. So maybe let's do something like -70. So this is just going to add left up to 70 characters left the line for the title. Let's say maybe 6 characters for the critic score, 6 characters for the audience score. And all those are both of those are right align. And let's just do a tab to get to the date, maybe, and see what that looks like. All right, probably should take out those pipes because we do not need them anymore. All right. Okay, so as you can see, we're getting the information. It's actually, I think it's looking pretty good. And you can also maybe even do something like, just want to play around with it, maybe say like score equals return if score equals empty string, then do a ternary operator and say return maybe this, else return the score. Okay, you probably can also do this. Oh yeah, so it did work. And you probably can also do the same for like the dates or whatever. So as you can see, basically you can just see that you can do a lot of stuff with AWK and in such a short amount of time if you know how to use it, because it is a programming language. And if you know how to use it like a programming language, it opens up a lot of doors. The key thing to remember is that AWK runs line by line. Keep that in mind and you can actually do many things. So just to make sure that this really works, let's try it with all of the 4 options. So we have movies and theaters. So let's say, movies and see if that worked. Okay, so movies and theaters, we have that. Doesn't have a score. We have missing. I actually want to see that. 8288, January 20th. Yeah, women talking. As you can see, I mean, there may be some errors in here. I haven't looked that deep to really figure it out, but it seemed like it's actually, doing what it should do. Let's try at home. Movies at home is the updated URL. Movies at home. Let's see. There's something wrong with the children. 6441. That looks good. No score here. No score there. Then I have the 93. And then probably, you can also have like a header. You do a lot of stuff with this. And let's try coming soon, because I think we've already done the TV shows. Movies coming soon. All right, so yeah, whatever that is, Patan, I don't know. Yeah, it seemed like it's working to me. So what you can do with this is you can also maybe take this and have like a header, maybe even have it formatted where like every other line is like a different color. Not a different color, but like this is maybe white and this is like gray, and this is white and this is gray. So it's easier for your eyes to like kind of visualize what's going on. You can do so many things with this, but basically what I really wanted to show you is just that AWK is cool and you can do a lot with it. And this is like not a lot of code, and it's also easy to understand once you understand AWK. And I can actually do the same thing in sed, but doing it in sed, I find it to be extremely confusing sometimes because the syntax sometimes is weird, and I think AWK is just better for stuff like this. But yeah, so that's all I have, and hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, peace out.